Hello everybody, Sebastian Quintanilla here with another Age of Empires 4 interview. Of course, this is part of a larger series of interviews that I'm doing ahead of the game release and ahead of its first major tournament, Genesis. This is to get a better idea of who the players that are going to be competing on the event are, what is their background, and what are some interesting things about them. How much practice did they get on Age of Empires 4? All of these questions and more, answer right ahead.
I am Themistoklis Bonidis and I come from Greece. I started playing RTS games from a really young age, around 7 or 8. I started with Age of Empires 2. I used to play with my father. Eventually I was able to beat him and he pushed me to start playing online. And I was actually doing pretty well when I was around 12 and 13. Eventually the servers died for Age of Empires 2 and I didn't know how to access it, because I was playing from internet cafes back then. And after a few years of not playing anything, I eventually found out about Age of Mythology, started playing Age of Mythology. I managed to get an expert status there when I was 17 years old, and I was top 1 plenty of times. And around when I was 18, StarCraft 2 came out, and I decided to start playing that. I got Diamond without any experience, without playing any Brad War or anything in 3 to 4 days, and started winning Greek tournaments. Eventually, I started competing in European events, got a team, decided at around 2012 to try to go pro. I wasn't actually trying that much until then, and that's when I had my big break. I literally played in 2 months. I played as many games as I played in 2 years, and I managed to get my highest position was top 6 Grandmaster in North America and rank 16 Grandmaster in Europe. I was playing all day, literally all day, morning to evening, tournaments non-stop. At the same time, I'm also a farmer, in case you don't know. I have around 500 fields in North Greece, and I was always on and off. I would play for 6 to 5 months, and then I would go offline, off the radar for 4 to 5 months, and then I would repeat this cycle. And around that time, I realized that I wasn't able to keep doing that with the StarCraft 2. So I had to slow down. I went back to Age of Mythology, mainly because the expansion for StarCraft 2 came out, and I disliked that a lot. And I just didn't enjoy the game anymore. Went back to Age of Mythology, went top 1 there, started playing Age of Empires Online as well, where I was also top 1. And from there on, it's pretty much straightforward. Kept playing games on and off. I competed in Grey Goo, traveled to EPAX USA for an invitational tournament. Then came back to Age of Mythology again top 1, and I also tried some Age of Empires 2. I was around 2k level on Vubli, and I played for 1 month, 1v1s. And at 2018, I stopped playing everything and focused on my work. And as soon as I found out that Age of Empires 4 is coming, which was 2 months ago exactly, I came back, starting with the beta. As soon as the beta finished, I went back to Age of Empires Online, where I won the latest tournament. And now I'm focusing fully on Age of Empires 4, and I'm intending to go pro for at least 4 to 5 months.
Right, and I want to ask you obviously have the experience of the beta so far to have a bit of an understanding, but when you found out about Age of Empires 4 and when you were going into to play it, was it up to the expectations that you had at that time, or was it something completely different but you were okay with it because it is a new RTS title, it is one that you could potentially go pro at? What was the relationship in those that first impression?
To tell you the truth, I wasn't that satisfied. I expected a bit more, and actually I think the game, though, in the stress test, I realized that the game is getting the correct approach. It still obviously needs support and work, but I think we will get there. As long as there are people playing, the game will keep improving. And yeah, I have high hopes for the game.
Obviously, being essentially the top player for Age of Mythology and Age of Empires Online, you're gonna have a lot of eyes on you as kind of the big player coming in. I know that from talking with other people, even StarCraft 2 pros as well as Age of Empires professionals, they all said your name as one of the players to keep an eye on because you were playing so well in those betas. And I want to understand how, like, do you have a way to understand the game that kind of fits into Age of Empires 4, or was it, do you think it's like a natural talent of yours, or do you think that you have a particular way of processing how the RTS game works that benefited you so far in all of these betas and in this pre-release?
The way I see a game is like a book. The first thing you need to do with a book is to read it. Then you need to understand the meaning of all what's happening, and the last part is how you're going to use the things that you read and understand in everyday life or situations. And I think I'm really good at that. Like, I see the game, I learn the game, I understand the game, and then it comes naturally using all those things that I've seen, know, and understood. It just, I don't know how it will sound. It's just like it feels natural. Like it's just the way I see the game.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's a natural process that you have developed so far in your career, essentially.
Yes.
Awesome. And I want to ask you, have you talked with any players, be it from the Age of Empires side of things, which I imagine a lot of people from the Age of Mythology and online have contacted you to talk about the game as well? And have you talked with people from the StarCraft 2 scene, who I also imagine would be very keen to hear your thoughts on Age of Empires 4?
Yeah. You should also consider the competition aspect of all this thing. Like, you don't want to talk to too many people because there's obviously a tournament coming on, right? So yes, you want to educate people, like you want to exchange ideas, etc. So yeah, there's some people that I have been talking about, not that many though, because information is power.
Do you think that, like, for you, the value proposition is I rather keep things to myself that I know are going to be super useful and exchange a few kind of simple and trivial ideas? For other people, the value proposition is going to be the more information that is out there, the better for, like, for myself, for everybody, all of the people involved, right? So I want to know, how long do you think this value proposition is going to be to keep it secret for you? Do you think that this is a strategy that is going to work out for you in like the first 5 months of the game, or however long you are going to be available to play it at a very high competitive level? Or do you think this is something that, at least for the first tournament, you're pretty certain is going to be the way to win it, and after that tournament it might just be that it kind of breaks down and it doesn't work anymore? What times are you working with on that?
I only need it to last 10 days. I mean, the whole purpose of information is it's gonna spread anyways, right? Like, as soon as we start playing, I'm obviously going to use the things that I've learned and realized and found. So the information will be there. The thing is how much time other people have to process that information. And yeah, I think it will only help me for the first like week, 10 days, and then it's obviously out. As soon as you start using things, they're out. You can't keep them anymore secret.
Right. And how long, like, I understand that you've played the beta, you've played the open stress test, I know that you have access right now to the pre-release. What I want to understand is how involved are you in each of those steps? Because I've talked with players who had the opportunity to play in those different events, and they played it a little bit. They had a bit of an understanding about the game, played a couple of matches, see what's up. But I also talked with people who were very intense about them and who used those opportunities to learn as much as possible, to play as much as possible, to have a competitive mindset on it. So I want to know where you land on that spectrum.
I played the beta for around 2 to 3 days, and I think I played around 30 games. Unfortunately, it was still farming season for me, so I didn't have that much time to play. And but when I had time, I obviously played. That's why I had 30 games. And then the stress test, it was right on the weekend that I had my semifinals and finals on the Age of Empires Online tournament. So I've only played like a few games as soon as I won the finals. Like as soon as I won the tournament, I just straight up opened the game, started streaming, and played as long as I could because I was really tired. As far as the current access, I can't confirm that I have current access, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Right, of course. But you know, I figure I've been talking with other players. They probably have access. Of course, you don't have to confirm any of that. But I want to move on then to the basic idea of, have you looked at other players' gameplay? I know that it might be a little bit quick to the trigger to say that they are already high-level players in Age of Empires 4, but I think there were a couple of names floating around of people who were having really good matches, that had a good understanding of the game, and thus it was worth watching their gameplay. Have you looked at anybody else's matches so far, or has it just been you playing the game and you trying to figure out things on your own, essentially?
It's mostly me. I always record through OBS my gameplay, and then like I like to watch it because we didn't have recorded games on Age of Empires 4, so that was the easiest way for me to actually improve while watching me play, like improve all the things that I thought I should have done or I didn't do. But I mostly watch, like in every game that I play, right? I watch recorded games of myself playing against people, because I think, like, yes, you can see other people get ideas. That's always the case, but not all play styles fit with your own. So what I like to do is like select an approach and then follow that approach while adapting to different scenarios, and then create my own meta eventually.
So that's really interesting, because I've been talking with quite a few players. You might have known of them. They're from Australia. They're the StarCraft 2 bunch. They are all kind of playing together, having their custom lobbies and doing stuff together and planning out their strategies, right? And I am thinking that they are probably going to be developing their own meta, just such as yourself, such as other groups of players. How do you prepare for those sorts of things? Like, I know preparation is going to be really hard because you're going to have only a few days for the tournament before the qualifications. But beyond that, how do you prepare to think that, you know, whatever you've been seeing in the ladder, it might be entirely irrelevant on your first match for the qualifiers?
Exactly, I totally agree with that. And it's all up, like, the game is numbers. The game is pure numbers. Like, there's some timings that you cannot get faster, and there's some timings that like, let's say, for example, you're going to TC, right? To TC. If you make the second town center at 5-minute mark, there's no way I can punish it. So I know that. And I obviously tested it, and I'm just talking hypothetically, right? Like, if I know that there's no way I can punish my own 2TC, if it starts at 5 minutes, then basically I'm pretty certain that no one else can punish it. You just like start and building a build slowly, and it's like Lego, for example. You take some pieces and then you want to create a masterpiece, for example, by small decisions that always have to do with what you scout from your opponent.
Right. And going into Genesis itself now, I want to ask you, what would be your acceptable results at the tournament? Of course, I know that the target is going to be, let's go ahead and get the win, let's get those $7,000 that are on the table. But of course, a new game, there are going to be these sort of secret metas that are only going to pop up when the game, when we finally see the proper matches. So what would be a result that would make you go, you know what, for my first major in a new RTS title, I am happy with that, I can work with that, I know that, you know, I give it the best try that I could with the time that I had?
That's a difficult question to answer. I mean, like obviously you said it yourself, like the aim is top 1, right? And I like in second place is the worst, so I guess top 4.
Do you think?
I guess
Yeah, go ahead.
top 4. I think that's like a good aim, a good thing to aim for. Top 4.
Who do you think would be the other 3 players in that scenario? Maybe not the names themselves, but just, do you think it's gonna be a StarCraft 2 player? Do you think it could be somebody from the Age of Empires Online mythology, or Age of Empires 2 players? Who do you picture as the other people that you're gonna be having to fight over for that win?
It's a hard thing to guess because of the best of ones. But if I were to pick up names, I would say Matiz, I would say Zerton, and the fourth name could be either Recon or Striker.
So, in that case, which group in general do you think has an advantage, or at least the most recognizable advantage? Because from talking with Age of Empires 2 players, they believe they have some advantages when it comes to things like the macro build up of the game. The StarCraft 2 players think that they have an advantage on other aspects, and so each group has their own thing that they think they can bring into the game that is gonna help them improve faster. What's the thing that you think you can bring into it?
In my eyes, the game, it looks like Age of Empires 3. It has the pace of StarCraft 2, the macro of Age of Mythology, and the battle mechanics of Age of Empires Online. So I would say the person who can combine all those 4 the best.
Nice. And so, is there gonna be anybody that you have on your short list as people you want to be practicing with in that initial week? Do you already have a group that you're gonna be practicing with, or is it gonna be mostly, just sticking to the ladder and just playing ladder after ladder after ladder?
Ladder is terrible to practice when you're going for a tournament. So I would say I already have a group, yes.
Would you be willing to say the names of them, or is that hidden information? Will you have to kill me after?
No, I cannot confirm the names of them.
All right, awesome. Is there a particular person that you feel could really challenge you, whether it be like if you unfortunately meet on one of those best of 3s, or if you meet in the grand finals? Is there like a name that you're in the back of your head thinking, I just don't want to face them because I think they're gonna be an absolutely monster player?
There's plenty of people that could that we could have like amazing games, but I've never let's say feared someone. I don't have a problem to play anyone. Obviously, I wouldn't want to play against a good player in the first round because it would ruin the competition. But I don't think there is a name. Like I'm not that kind of a player. I don't mind playing people. Like if you play better, you should win. That's about it.
Nice. And looking past Genesis now, whatever the result might be, what are you thinking about your commitment? Obviously, you have this seasonal limitation with you owning a farm and having to run that. But beyond that, what would Age of Empires for esports need to look like for you to consider it like your seasonal sport that you're going to jump into whenever you're not having to deal with your other responsibilities?
My goal is actually to stream every day. That's the goal. And also my goal is to actually make enough money from Age of Empires 4 so that I could pay workers to do the job that I have to do in the farm in order to play more, if that sounds fair.
That sounds amazing.
That's the plan. That's my plan for now. So I'm just gonna go hammering as much as I can, streaming and playing until like March. I will obviously have to work from time to time. I will always have to be there, but like if I'm able to save up 4 hours every day or 4 to 5 hours every day to play the game and stream, that's more than enough for me.
Awesome. So then the important part, where can people find your stream? Are you going to be posting on YouTube? Do you plan to tweet about things? Go ahead and plug all of the places that people can keep up with your progression in the Age of Empires 4 competitive scene.
www.twitch.tv/themistaAOE.com or not .com. That's basically Themista AOE. That's the Twitch TV.
Awesome.
You can find me there.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the description too for people that want to check it out. So again, thank you so much, man, for talking with me. I know that you're gonna be on national TV soon as well, so that's this is the smaller interview, all things considered. So thank you so much for putting a little bit of time aside for me to talk about Age of Empires 4 and Genesis, man.
This was great. I thank you, man.
Alright, and if you want to see more information about Genesis, there are links in the description, as well as links to everything that Mista will be doing, so you can always check those. Thank you so much for watching, and have an excellent day.